Hey, good morning. Welcome to Plugged In. We will be in the book of Daniel when we get back. And welcome back to Plugged In. This is the week. In fact, it's not even a full week that it happens. This is the last full day of Logan Rogersville School. Tomorrow, a half a day. And what an exciting time for the kids and maybe even for some of the parents. And then there might be some parents that are like, oh, the kids are going to be home every day now for the next 2 or 3 months. But it'll be a fun time. I hope you enjoy the summer, have some fun activities, and believe me, it won't be long till you'll be back in school around the middle of August. Hey, so we're going to continue through the story of Daniel, and we're going to be in chapter 3. Again, I'm going to read for you part of the story. This is with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Last week, we read that Nebuchadnezzar had a statue, an idol, an image built that was 90 foot tall and 9 foot wide. And the rule was when the music is played, you're to bow down to it and worship it. Well, everybody did that except for Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and that caught the attention of some people. So we're going to read about that section, and then I'm going to share just some little insights for you. So if you have your Bibles there handy, you want to follow along chapter 3, verse 7 to 15. Here's how the story plays out. Therefore, as soon as they heard the sound of the horn, the flute, the zither, lyre, harp, and all kinds of music, all the nations and peoples of every language fell down and worshipped the image of gold that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. At this time, some astrologers came forward and denounced the Jews. They said to King Nebuchadnezzar, "May the king live forever." Wow, they're really trying to butter him up. "Your Majesty has issued a decree that everyone who hears the sound of the horn, flute, zither, lyre, harp, pipe, and all kinds of music must fall down and worship the image of gold, and that whoever does not fall down and worship will be thrown into a blazing furnace. But there are some Jews whom you have set out or set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who pay no attention to you, your Majesty. Then they neither serve you or your gods, nor they worship the image of gold you have set up." Furious with rage, Nebuchadnezzar summoned Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So these men were brought before the king, and Nebuchadnezzar said to them, "Is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you do not serve my gods or worship the image of gold I have set up? Now when you hear the sound of the horn, flute, zither, lyre, harp, pipe, and all kinds of music, if you are ready to fall down and worship the image I made, very good. But if you do not worship it, you will be thrown immediately into a blazing furnace. Then what God will be able to rescue you from my hand?" Excuse me for just a moment. Monday morning croup there a little bit. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were given one more chance. Maybe it seems that the king had a little bit more favor toward them since other things that happened in the past. He knew they were really good friends with Daniel. He was impressed with Daniel. But he was not going to be made to look like a fool. So although he was very upset with the actions and the attitude that they had toward him, he did give them another chance to worship this 90-foot tall idol. Now, these three young men could have made some excuses. They could have rationalized for not bowing down to the image, which in turn might have saved their lives. I'm going to give you a list of things that they could have done where they kind of compromised a little bit, where they were at the middle of the road. I received these from my life commentary book on the book of Daniel. Here are some of those suggestions. Nebuchadnezzar, we will fall down but not actually worship the idol. King Nebuchadnezzar, we will not become idol worshipers, but we will bow down to it this time, and then we will ask God for forgiveness. You know, the king has absolute power, and we must obey him. God will understand. Well, the king appointed us to this position. We owe it to him. You know, this is a foreign land, so God will excuse us for following the rules of the land. What's the big deal? Our ancestors set up idols in God's temple. This isn't as bad as what they did. You know what? We're not hurting anyone. The excuses sounded sensible. And if you think about it, maybe we've used similar ones to rationalize why we do some things at times to save face, so that we don't face opposition or persecution or ridicule for being a follower of God. But here's the thing. If these men would have given in to King Nebuchadnezzar, then they would have disobeyed God's command, especially the one that you're going to see on the screen here from Exodus chapter 20, verse 3. One of the 10 commandments, you shall have no other gods before me. They respected the king to a point. But when the king's laws and the king's rules decided to have nothing to do with God, then King Nebuchadnezzar found out he was in second place. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego stood up for the God of creation who had created them and whom they were serving. When you join us next week, we're going to see what they say to the challenge that King Nebuchadnezzar gives them. And it might surprise you even to what extent they are willing to go to stand for the truth and to stand for their God. Thank you again for joining us this week. Have a wonderful week, and we will see you next week on Plugged In.